Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Work at Home Rockstar podcast. Excited for today's episode. We're talking to the CEO and founder of Katmai Tech. And what he does is he helps people to connect more naturally in an ever increasingly more digital world. So I'm very excited to be rocking out with Erik Braund. Hey, Erik, you ready to rock?
Let's rock and roll, Tim.
Let's rock and roll. We always start off here in a good note. So tell me a story of success that we could be inspired by.
Oh man, I'm gonna give you two in one, and they're funny because it's funny how success is defined and viewed by yourself and other people. I had one year, I think it was 2010, that I found myself playing drums for Jay-Z at the Super Bowl. And about a month later, I was on Conan O'Brien in the monologue because a little younger, a little skinnier, and bigger hair. I got told I looked like Conan so many
You
times.
look like Conan, yeah.
I made it on the show, on the monologue. It was pretty hilarious. I actually got to play drums with his band and play a song, a Led Zeppelin song. And those things made it on the front page of the newspaper back in Anchorage, Alaska, where I grew up. I was living in New York, but it was kind of this like people thought I was just like famous for a second. I was like, ah, come on, I got paid $300 by CBS to be a background drummer, and I get paid to go on Coda. But it was just like such a funny like that was viewed as he is successful, and it had nothing to do with any success other than just like silly publicity, you know.
Yeah.
They're both fun stories.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. And people do view success interestingly, right? I mean, it's either money or it's fame. And sometimes neither of those things will really get you. You want to go. And they're
Yes.
fleeting too. You can make a bunch of money and then lose it all, and you're
Yep.
still considered a success, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, well, then what do you consider success?
You know, right now it's like being able to find a work-life balance, which is pretty hard in my position right now. I'm like startup person, you know, but the work-life balance and be able to make some time for my kids and like be able to drive them to school every day and make sure the mortgage is paid and there's usually a few pennies left over after that. But I feel successful in that sense because I've got my family unit and we're okay and we still get to have some fun even though life gets very stressful. But you know, money will make me technically more successful if we ever get more money. It'll soften a few problems, but it'll probably make some new ones. So I'm feeling pretty grateful right now, honestly.
That's awesome. Yeah, I agree. I think it's all about the lifestyle. It's about the long-term stuff. And like you say, being able to drive your kids to school or actually attend their parent-teacher interviews, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
their recitals and stuff like that, right?
Well, and I get to I live in the Catskills, so I live like in the woods on a piece of land where I can't see my neighbors. And I get to talk to people all day and have a like a career and a job digitally and be home. It's pretty cool.
Yep, I agree. And that's the point of this podcast really is to show people there's different there's different definitions of success and depends on the one that you want. But I know that for sure, working from home, having your own business, it's hard. There's a lot to it. But on the
It's
other
hard.
hand, you do have that flexibility, right? It's not like you're not
Yeah.
working. You are working. You're working probably more, but at least
Yeah.
you can move those things around. And you don't have to ask anyone permission for anything, right?
Yeah. 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 Exactly. The
Now,
one funny thing is I travel a lot. For a guy that has a video conferencing solution startup, I still travel a lot because for whether it's investors or customers, it's important to I love to be able to meet people in person if I can, but there's such a huge opportunity cost. So it's a funny balance, but
yeah, right on. So now with along with a good note, sometimes there's things that don't go as planned.
yeah,
We all know that. And I like to talk about those things because people need to understand that, failure isn't what you think.
yeah.
It's oftentimes those mistakes are actually what propel you to the successes later on. And we all go through them. So I'm wondering, can you share with us something that didn't go as planned, a bad note that we can learn from?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you one just directly from this company, which is as we were growing, a team grew too fast in certain areas in the wrong way. In retrospect, hindsight's 2020, right? But
Yeah.
if I could do a few things again there, it's like, gosh, I probably should have failed a little faster with some composition of the team when things were getting off. I'm like the kind of guy that's like always trying to see the good in everybody and try and make it work and try and make it work and try and make it work. And then I'm just like, oh God, it's not working. Like,
Yeah.
so I've had to get a lot tougher in terms of, nope. this isn't working out for this. We have to make a change. And that took me a long time to toughen up and be able to do that.
Yeah, I think that's really super common with just about any entrepreneur. I mean, we probably wouldn't even be here if we didn't have that kind of rose colored glasses kind of outlook, right?
Yeah, and
And then,
I'm a social animal and I love people and I love talking to people and oh, I see the value, it works, but like at the end of the day it's like, oh shit.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that too, right? I mean, we want to say yes to everything and everybody, and these are tough lessons that most of us will end up learning. Is that you just can't. Every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to everything else, right? And
I
it's
used to
tough.
have back in my office in Brooklyn, I had a sticky note on my computer for like 5 years and it just said say no.
Yeah,
That was all it said. I had to remind myself all the time, say no. Because you want to say yes because like, well, it's more work and it's this and it's that. But like saying no often is really good for you too.
yeah, yeah. And when you start a business too, like it's. I mean, I mentioned this before, but oftentimes we'll start it because we're good at this certain one thing, right? And we're like, oh, like, maybe I'll just cut out the middleman and be my own thing. But you end up wearing a whackload of different hats, and if you're good
Yes.
at that, then you realize really quickly that you could do just about anything. So anytime someone offers you something, it's like this new shiny object that you're like, oh, I could go in that direction now. It doesn't get you right.
I mean, I've been on a condo board, on the school board, all sorts. I actually just recently got off of both of those because I kind of was like, just because I can do these or can add value doesn't mean it's what I should be doing right now because it is taking up a lot of time. And maybe there'll be time later in life to add value to those sorts of things.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, and maybe there won't, right?
and maybe there won't
But
be. I'd be okay with that too.
right on. So let's talk a little bit about practicing. And I mean, hey, you're a musician as well, so we're probably pretty familiar with that. I'm wondering
Yep.
in your business, like, how do you stay up on everything?
Oh, that's interesting. I'm trying to think of everything is such a broad thing because I'm like, there's how much cash do we have? How much runway do we have? What's the status of all of these projects? What's the status of our sales pipeline? Why is this broken? Like,
Yeah,
and that's just like the first few things I can think of. And then there's the next level of like, how are the people doing? Are they satisfied here? Who's around? Who's going on vacations? It's like, we have our team is kind of around 30 people and it's a lot of people and
yeah,
we have a lot of balls in the air too because we created a new technology and we're creating a new product that has not been done before. So there is no playbook for how to talk about it, how to get it into the market. And we're just kind of making everything up as we go. and, and that's crazy. It's totally crazy.
yeah, yeah.
So how do I
I
do
heard
it? I don't think I answered your question at all. I think I just told you all the things there were to keep track of.
yeah,
um, I'm I'm just constantly. I mean, I've got to go through a gazillion emails and text messages and phone and Slack messages all day long. Except I do turn it off at night, and I have stopped checking my email first thing in the morning from bed. That was like an important lesson for me to learn. But I'm just constantly engaged. Unfortunately, is how I stay on top of it.
well, I mean, you got to do something, right? So you
Yeah.
basically just have the a process of just going through these messages one at a time and answering them all.
Yeah, and I have an ongoing kind of Eric's weekly tasks and monthly and quarterly sort of things, and I'm constantly going back and referencing that because if I don't, things will inevitably fall through. That still could be important. One of the best things that I've chosen to do in about the last year was get an Apple Watch, and I turned off all the notifications for it, but I use it to remind myself or set timers 20 times a day. And I had, this morning it was like, get to the office 5 minutes before podcast. Like that, it's just that reminder while I'm having coffee and making breakfast for the kids. Like, oh shit, I got to go downstairs. Even though the calendar reminder happens, it's like this extra vibration on my wrist that's like, I got to go. Because otherwise I'll just stay in chat forever.
Yep. Ah, it's so funny. I use timers so much, and it's like, my normal friends just think that that's ridiculous. I get because if I'll take a day off or like I say, it's flexible, right? So
Yeah.
it's a nice sunny day. Maybe I'll decide to work later on, and I'll go out and visit my friend's pool or whatever. And then
Yep.
there's timers going off because I have them set and recurring. And like,
Yep.
oh, Tim's timer's going off again. Yeah, that's the timer that's supposed to tell me to go do this or that.
You got a timer for a timer.
I got a timer for a timer. And I don't turn them off because if I turn them off, then they're off the next day.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Totally.
Yeah. Timers are great. I mean, they do work, right?
And I seriously, I have all other notifications turned off on the Apple Watch. I think it's a dumb looking thing, but it has added this like ease of reminding myself, and it has made me more punctual and more on time. And
Yeah.
that's good for me.
Well, and I think the probably the thing I take out of that is that you've got timers that are set intentionally, like for you, rather than the notifications that are like more reactionary, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're you're
Exactly.
you're you're doing what you're supposed to do rather than what other people want you to do.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at doing what other people want me to do. I think that's why I've never had it. I had one job. I worked at a guitar store from the ages of 14 to 16, but since then I've never had a job. I've just been an entrepreneur because I think I'd probably get hired and then get fired pretty quickly. I don't think I would do well at someone else's company.
Yeah, yeah, I'm the same way. It's pretty common, I think, amongst us,
Yeah.
especially us musicians. And
Yep.
speaking of
It's
which,
funny too is early in the days, early in Katmai, when we're building a fully remote team, and this is like prime pandemic time. It wasn't on purpose, but at somehow I looked around, I was like, there's 10 people here, and nine of them are like professional or formerly professional musicians. It's like we might have too many musicians here. It's just funny. I don't know how it happened. It just happened.
it's a criteria. Put it on your applications.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you'll have the best office band ever.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, that's funny.
That's so cool. So, well, speaking of jam rooms, let's talk about your home office. How do you have that set up to be productive?
Yeah. My home office is probably quite a bit different than most people's home offices because I come from an audio video production background. So I have tons of gear because we used to do large video sets and, immersive audio projects. And so I've accumulated a lot of hardware over the years. Uh, from a structural standpoint, I'm in a concrete box under the garage. So it sounds worse than it is because I have a sliding glass doors and I get to look out on some mountains. So it's actually quite pleasant. And
Yeah,
I can like walk out with the dogs and I go in and out a lot. Um, but I'm looking at you on a 16-inch little screen with a webcam on it. And that's usually where I run my virtual office. And then behind this screen is an 85-inch TV that I use as a massive computer screen. And then
yep,
off to the side are some very ridiculously nice studio monitors. I have some barefoot studio monitors that are for like, they used to sit on top of my analog console in a recording studio. They're like primo. Now I basically just listen to other people's webcam mics on them, which is kind of funny. Like the worst audio source possible on these like amazing speakers.
yeah,
Behind me here is this is my former life. I used to be a music producer, and this is all the audio production gear that was down in Brooklyn and is no longer there. And off to the side is just heaps of equipment that I can't find anywhere else to put it right now. So it's just old equipment from the audio video days.
wow,
But I have it. You know what? It's great because I'm under the house. I'm kind of away from the house, but like I'm still accessible. And I go upstairs to make coffee 4 times a day. I very specifically don't have a coffee machine down here because I want to go like walk up the stairs and see a different room sometimes.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, your
yeah,
office sounds very similar to mine,
yeah.
especially with the heaps of equipment that I don't know what to do with that as well.
And I have my requisite Top Gun poster here. I've
Nice.
got a Wayne's World poster over there and a Nirvana poster behind me. You can't see it. Those pretty much sum up my cultural zeitgeist, actually.
So do you feel like motivated and excited to be in this room? Is that why you have all that stuff there?
Yeah, I'm around my like tchotchkes and actually for when I moved this stuff here from Brooklyn, all the stuff behind me, it's literally not even plugged in yet because I don't have time and I will someday again. But I kind of was like, oh God, I missed my like audio gear because I
Yeah.
used it so much and just like every piece over there has like a journey of how I got it and when I got it and what I did with it and who I recorded through it and all this stuff. And I just was like, ah, it's so good to have it back, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It makes you want to be in your office, which is the point, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do. I mean, I spend an inordinate amount of time down here, but I do like being in this room. It's kind of like a teenager's bedroom, honestly. It like
Yep.
with the band posters on the wall and stuff.
Yeah. I have a disco ball up there.
Oh, good, perfect.
It's like stupid
And
stuff, right?
well, and I have two dog beds because I have two little Pomeranians, Batman and Gonzo, and they're very
Uh,
cute. And they spend a lot of time down here with me. So
right on. Right on.
yeah,
Cool. So let's talk about the virtual space because I mean that's your business, right? Let's
yep.
kind of touch into that. Like because I mean you've got your physical office, of course, but tell me about your virtual space.
Yeah. So, Katmai, the company set out to make a technology where people could be together in a virtual space on live audio and video, and have those virtual spaces be really high quality. So it's, you think about, I have like an Apple Vision Pro in here, and you think I keep this here literally as a $4,000 prop because there was a movement a few years ago where Meta said everybody was going to be together in a headset and interact with each
Yeah.
other and work with each other and socialize with each other and look like cartoons of each other. And we were all going to sign up to, this isn't the Meta one, but we're all going to do this all day long, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a dystopian nightmare. And
Yeah.
so we set out to do something different. We built what we call immersive video technology, and what that is a first person 3D experience where you can move and you can see other people live on video, and you can put people in different rooms and environments and have private conversations and public conversations, and you can have spatial audio where it sounds as you get closer to someone in a hallway, you hear them a little louder, and it just starts to feel natural. And we did this because the genesis originated at the very beginning of the pandemic, which was, oh my gosh, we can't be in a room together. What are the tools? There's Zoom, there's Teams, what I call traditional video conferencing, and there's not much else, right? There's squares of faces that are static without an environment. And I think you'll appreciate this just from the music and creative field. Like the space you're in matters so much to the conversation you're having with someone. It's like in a conversation, there's the people and there's the place. And the
Yeah.
place, it informs the conversation, or it becomes a part of the memory, or it becomes a part of the conversation, right? Like you're in a cafe, there's people going by. That's a much different conversation than like we're at home on a static video grid and it's only us.
Yep.
So that's a long-winded way of saying we made this technology, and the purpose was to have a more natural digital interaction. And what happened was we built a very small team spread from Alaska to New York to Florida to the Netherlands and some Canada. And this is like early pandemic. And we just started spending time in our software while we were developing the technology, because the first iterations of the technology would blow up a very nice computer. we,
Yeah.
we melted a
Yeah.
few PCs in the early days, right? So we were iterating on the technology, and then we realized, oh my God, we have an incredible like team building software here. This is just like being in an office together. And
Yep.
we have a creative director who's just like a mad scientist genius, this guy Pete, who knows how to take 3D environments and push them very far and make them very high quality, and also has a background in architecture and philosophy. And so it's like we spent a lot of time working on these environments and feeling what it's like to be in these virtual environments. It's assigns place to a digital conversation, but you don't have to have a headset on, and it doesn't look goofy and cartoony. It looks pretty darn real. It's more like a PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5 type graphics that
Yep.
the engine can power. And so what we have today is a virtual office product that we sell to people. It's very inexpensive, very accessible, and it works on billions of devices. So we spent years of R&D to say, hey, this is a pretty like high-tech thing we're asking your computer to do. Upload lots of video, download video, render 3D engines, have all these
Yep.
permissions going on. Um, and now it works really well, and it works on a lot of devices, literally billions of devices. And so we're new into taking the product to market, but what it's doing is it's allowing teams to kind of be remote, work from home, work from anywhere, but and feel like they have returned to the office. Like
Yeah.
the things that people want from the office is to be social and to be seen and to see, right? It's like visibility is two ways. You want to be seen and you want to see people, depending on your role, right? You want like famously Zoom, the CEO of Zoom said at, I think it was like 23, 24, you have to come back to the office to his employees. You can't run a company on Zoom. There's not enough productivity. There's not enough culture. You got to come back. And you're like, wait a minute. that's the Zoom CEO saying this. Uh-oh. And
Yeah.
so we're in this like total white space where there's like traditional video conferencing and there's in real life, and we're trying to occupy the space between.
Yep.
And like we were talking about earlier, it's a strange concept, and when I show it to people, they either get it instantly or it takes 30 minutes or it takes 60 minutes to kind of get them there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then once they're there, it's like, how could this apply to my organization? And we have some companies that adopt just like instantly because it's solving real life communication problems. My favorite quote from one of our customers is Katmai turns next week's 30-minute meeting into today's 5-minute conversation. And when you let that sink in about how many 30-minute meetings and 60-minute meetings do you have next week? And by the time you have that meeting next week, it's like, what were we talking about? Where are we with this? And in what Katmai enables is like, hey, I've got an idea. I can go talk to Tim right now. He's across I see him there. He's there. I don't even know where you are physically. Doesn't matter because you're in our office and you're available and we can chat. And it's like, it's pretty remarkable. So we have some fun statistics around reducing calendar clutter and shorter meetings with less people. And it's just, I don't know. It's really interesting stuff.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool idea, and I mean, I saw a quick demo of it before, and I'll try to explain as much as I can. But one of the disadvantages that we talk about in this podcast quite often about working from home is the lack of camaraderie, the lack of like water cooler talk, that kind of stuff, right? I mean, you're basically sitting in your office, and okay, fine. I think many of us, depending on your role, I mean, we have Zoom calls, we talk to other people there, but what this is doing is it allows you to be it's like a video game where you're walking
Yep.
through a hall, and it's this hall is a bunch of offices, and in each office you see their video camera of them sitting at their office doing something else, right?
Yep.
And so
Yep.
you can sort of see them, and they're like, oh, they're there, and you can walk into that office and interrupt them, right? Which is
Yeah.
literally the same as being in a real office. So, of course, it has its advantages and disadvantages. I mean, one of the
Yep.
things that I don't like about the office is getting interrupted.
Yeah.
But I mean, the alternative is you just turn your camera off so people don't interrupt you at that
Yeah.
particular time.
Yeah.
But the big advantage, I think, for a lot of businesses is that they like to see their people sitting at an office and doing some work, right? And
Yeah.
so I think it's a really, really cool idea, especially if you want to build a team of people and have that water cooler type thing where you can actually see people in your office and go hang out with them. I think it's really cool.
It is. Thank you. And I think that was a great description. And it really like, it's funny to think about culture. It's like, what is culture at a company? And really, what does it mean? And how do you get it?
Yep.
And what I've learned is culture is kind of built through like having a moment to shoot the shit with someone and talk about something that is not the project and the agenda of the meeting.
Yep.
And that's not wasted time at all. It's like finding a rapport with someone, finding a common thread. And if you force that, it's just weird. If you get hired at a company and schedule a one-on-one with someone and just to get to know them for 30 minutes, it's just weird. I don't know. But like if you bump into someone in the hallway, before you know it, you're talking about the weather or whatever, and then it's like, oh, you've had a chat. You've had a chat with someone. And that is part of culture building and like continuing to have some sort of culture.
Yep, yep. Okay, and then that kind of adds a little bit more texture to this. So basically, what I'm hearing then is that potentially your team meetings would be sitting in it would be a room down the hall,
Yep.
and instead of just clicking on a meeting invite, you actually have to walk through the hall in this video game, and
Yeah,
then
it
go
takes
sit in
takes you
that
two
meeting.
minutes. It's right. It takes you 2 seconds. So you use your keyboard or your mouse or whatever, and you walk to the conference room, and people see you walking around. Like our
Yeah,
office is bustling. There's 25 people in the virtual office. When a guest comes in, the question will be like, "Where am I and what is this?" And that's
yeah.
like it's a fun moment, and
Oh, it's so
there's a
cool.
there's a it never gets old for when I am on the other side of someone greeting them for the first time. So there's two ways we can bring someone into Katmai. We can drop them right into the meeting so we don't have to teach them anything. So like you don't have to learn what a virtual office is and what a 3D environment is and what's going on. You're just positioned around a table. It's very frictionless, very seamless, very easy. The other one is drop them into the lobby and I greet them. And so they load in and they see an office and they see my face. and I welcome them and I say, okay, first thing you need to do is press and hold the up arrow, and they propel forward. And the look is always like, it's like this, oh, what? And then they see 20 other people in offices having conversations. It's like, what's going on there? Are those real? It's like, yeah, those are real people. They're all at home. They're all in their home office. They're just here. And it's like such a fun unlock to do that for the first time with people.
Cool. I love this idea. Okay, so I know, I mean, we're already talking about your business, but I always give people the floor for their guest solo. So tell me what's exciting in your business right now.
Oh boy, what's exciting right now is we put our product out earlier this year, and we thought that we would be kind of digitally marketing to small, fully remote companies. We thought that would be our tip of spear, first customer, easiest decision maker, add value the quickest.
Yeah.
Hybrid work and enterprise work, like in back, enterprise is generally back to the office or mostly hybrid, somewhere in there. We thought that would come a bit later. And what we've found is some very large global companies seeing our
Yeah.
solution saying, oh, we want
Yeah.
this. And we're like, oh, wait, what? So,
Understand.
yeah. And so it's kind of like, okay, but I'm just like thinking back, one large company that wants to adopt, you go through like a 6 month process to meet their infosec requirements and their data and their privacy and retention requirements. Then you go through a legal process to make sure you can be legally adopted. And then you get the green light one day and you're like, oh, okay. So now people at your company can use this. Now we go socialize this more and get them here because 6 months has gone by from when they said, can we have Katmai to can we use it? And so
Yeah.
that's we actually just made it through that with a huge company that is famously returned to office. And what's cool is there's value in our product and platform because even though folks have returned to office, I don't know if you've seen this, they're still on video calls all day long because their
Yeah.
team is now dispersed all over the world.
Yeah.
And they're just video calling people in other offices. And so what we're finding pockets of running things like office hours, so like a structured first come first serve office hours for like managers, so people can get questions answered quickly. We have something that's kind of an alternative to a costly offsite, where it's a digital offsite, but it's more interactive and there's more to it than just doing what we're doing with squares of faces that are static.
Yeah.
Um, we have an interview loop thing, and so there's just lots of things that happen in an office. So we're not expecting every customer to use it the same way, and they don't. We have some people that are on Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. We have some people that only have sales meetings in it, or only have a team meeting once a week in it. But it's still like this. It's this connective place for a richer conversation and a more. Honestly, the feedback we get is it just feels more natural, and like
Yeah.
that's a hard one to quantify and give a cool scientific data fact on. I don't know. People said it feels nicer,
Yeah.
and so then that means some people are willing to make the jump and use Katmai as their primary communication platform.
Cool. So then how do we find out more?
Visit www.katmaitech.com, and that is KATMAITECH.com. I grew up in Alaska. Katmai is a national park full of bears and salmon and, a very mountainous region. And it's kind of a little throwback to that.
Hopefully these office. Well, actually, you know what? I mean, you could probably put bears in,
we,
in
we
the
probably
office.
should. Or at least in Katmai, if you look it up, there's this viewing station for tourists up on this big fence with tons of bears jumping in to eat salmon on this waterfall. And I'm like, oh, we could probably build one of those.
Yeah. Yeah, why
Yeah.
not?
Yeah.
That's the cool part. Right
You
on.
know, I gotta call out your make a bad note sound better.
Yeah.
I loved seeing that because my favorite guitarist in the world is actually coincidentally a guy I got to play in a band with for a long time. This guy Brandon Hafer. He's the tastiest guitar player in the world. He taught me 20 years ago. He's like, listen, you hit a bad note, you just stick with the bad note. You keep hitting the bad note. You make sure the distortion's on, and then you bend it up over time, and then it sounds like it was on purpose. It's a bad note sounding better.
So awesome. I had a
Yeah.
similar advice, and the guy said, "Yeah, if you hit a bad note once, it's a mistake, but if you hit it twice, now it's on purpose."
Exactly. Yeah.
Love it. Well, and actually, I was going to ask you that. That is one of the last questions that I do ask is, who's your favorite rock star? I think you just answered that.
Oh, I mean, like the guy I want to meet the most and hang out with is Dave Grohl, and like I got into music because of Nirvana. I started playing guitar at 12 because of Kurt Cobain. I got a drum set because of Dave Grohl. I'm like, even yesterday I went on a long drive and I just was listening to Nevermind, and I'm just like, I'm a grunge guy.
Yeah.
Um, I've gotten to meet tons of rock stars and celebrities over the years from being a video producer. It lets you down 9 times out of 10. It just always
Mm.
does. So, but I hear that Dave Grohl's the nicest guy in rock and roll, supposedly, right? But
Yep.
no, I love like arena rock. I love spectacle. Like I'm gonna go see Nine Inch Nails next week. Like I love big shows and arena rock and stuff too. So, yeah, probably Dave Grohl.
I hope you get to meet him. I'm looking forward to hearing the
I'm hanging
story.
on. I think there's a chance someday.
I think there's a chance. I'm actually
Yeah.
surprised you haven't yet, because I mean, you're right in that space, right?
Totally. Yeah.
Maybe you'll get him to sponsor your company.
I've been soliciting Conan O'Brien. I'm trying to get on his fan podcast
Uh-huh.
because I'm like, I even pitched. I was like, I was on your TV show 20 years ago. Let me on. We'll have a fun time.
Well, fingers crossed. I hope it
Yeah.
happens, man. That's awesome.
Thank you.
This has been an awesome interview. Thank you so much, Eric, for rocking out with me today.
You got it, Tim. I appreciate it. And I hope to talk to you again.
Awesome. And to the listeners, make sure you go to workathomerockstar.com for more information. And we'll see you next time on the Work at Home Rockstar podcast.
Peace.
Peace.